Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into a topic that's as unsettling as it is urgent, one that sits at the intersection of politics, media, and democracy itself. Recently, Donald Trump made some comments that stopped me in my tracks. Speaking at a Wall Street event, he said something along the lines of the media has tamed down a little bit. They like us better now. If they don't, we'll just have to take them on again. But we don't want to do that. Think about that for a second. He's openly saying he's got the media in line. They're subdued, behaving how he wants. And if they step out of line, he'll bring them back under control. The language is deliberate. That's the kind of word you use for a pet, not a free press. He's not even pretending to respect the independence of the media. He's bragging about his ability to dominate it. But before we get into the details, hit the subscribe button, like this video, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for your support. He's not entirely wrong. Have you noticed how little resistance there's been from major media outlets? Where are the op-eds from legacy newspapers indignantly saying we're not tamed? Where are the fiery rebuttals from cable news anchors challenging this claim? The silence is deafening, and it's telling us something profound about the state of the press in this country. Now, this isn't just about Trump's rhetorics. It's about how the media landscape has shifted to make this possible. Let's zoom out for a moment and look at the bigger picture. You see media, those long-established giants like the New York Times, the Washington Post, and cable news networks have always been seen as the pillars of democratic accountability. They were the ones we turned to for truth, for checks on power, for fearless reporting. But over the years, that role has eroded. Financial pressures, corporate ownership, and changing consumption habits have weakened their independence. Take Jeff Bezos and the Washington Post. For example, Bezos isn't just a newspaper owner. He's the head of Amazon, a tech giant with its hands in everything from e-commerce to cloud computing to space exploration. When the Post pulled a critical editorial about Trump before the election, it raised eyebrows. Since then, Bezos has been making polite overtures to the Trump administration, attending events, making favorable comments, all of which feel like moves to protect his broader business interests. Is that the kind of independence we want from a newspaper that claims to be a watchdog for democracy? And it's not just Bezos. The Los Angeles Times is undergoing a restructuring under its billionaire owner that seems more focused on avoiding friction with the Trump administration than on serving its readers. And there's Mark Zuckerberg, who isn't part of traditional media but wields enormous influence as the head of Facebook, Instagram, and Threads. He's been cozying up to Trump too, cutting checks for his inauguration and steering clear of actions that might provoke his ire. This is a man who controls platforms that billions of people use to get their news. Yet he seems more interested in keeping the peace than in holding power accountable. This all adds up to a media environment that's far too deferential to power, especially to Trump. And here's where it gets dangerous. A free press is supposed to challenge those in power to ask tough questions, to investigate wrongdoing. But when the press is compromised, whether by financial pressures, corporate interests, or fear of retribution, it stops being a check on power and starts being a tool of it. That's what Trump is exploiting when he talks about taming the media. He knows they're vulnerable and he's taking full advantage of it. Now, let's not pretend this is entirely new. The decline of legacy media has been a slow burn, accelerated by the rise of digital platforms and the collapse of traditional revenue models. Newspapers rely more on ads and subscriptions than ever, and cable news networks depend on ratings to survive. That dependence makes them susceptible to the kind of pressure Trump is describing. He knows they need access to his administration to stay relevant, and he's using that leverage to bend them to his will. So where does that leave us? If we can't rely on legacy media to hold power accountable, who will? This is where independent media comes in. Platforms like this one, podcasts, grassroots outlets. These are the spaces where real accountability journalism is happening. Because we're not tied to billionaires or beholden to advertisers, we don't need access to the White House or approval from corporate boards. Like, that independence allows us to speak truth to power in ways legacy media can't. But let me be clear, independent media isn't a magic bullet. Building a sustainable, robust ecosystem of independent journalism takes time, effort, and support, and that's where you come in. In today's world, the most valuable resource isn't money. Every time you watch a video like this, read an article from an independent outlet, or share content that challenges power, you're investing in a different kind of media landscape, one that prioritizes truth over access, accountability over appeasement. Now, let's talk about the asymmetry here. The right figured this out a long time ago. They've built an entire ecosystem of partisan media, Fox News, Owen Breitbart, The Daily Wire, all designed to deliver their message directly to their audience. They don't rely on legacy outlets to get their narrative out. They control the means of distribution. Meanwhile, progressives are still handing their carefully crafted messages to legacy outlets, hoping they'll be delivered accurately. But here's the truths. Legacy media isn't on anyone's team. They're institutions playing their own game, and that game is about survival, not advocacy. If progressives want their message to resonate, they need to stop relying on legacy outlets and start building their own infrastructure, independent platforms that can deliver their message directly and effectively. This isn't just about resisting Trump or countering conservative narratives. It's about creating a media environment that's diverse, resilient, and accountable. Because as long as we rely on compromised institutions, we're going to keep losing ground. Trump's comments about taming the media are a wake-up call. He's showing us the weaknesses in our system, and it's up to us to address them. So what's the solution? Support independent media, share their work, subscribe to their platforms, invest your time and attention in outlets that prioritize democracy over dollars, and most importantly, stay informed. Because in the fight for a free press, we're not just spectators, we're participants, and the stakes couldn't be higher.